Welcome to the Marketing Impact Podcast with your host, Mike Wood from Legalmorning.com, providing tips and the latest trends in the world of marketing.
And welcome back to the Marketing Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Wood with Legalmorning.com, and today we're going to be talking about online reviews, specifically fake reviews and how to get rid of them. Maybe not necessarily get rid of them, but should you respond to all of them and everything else related. Now, my guest today is Craig Brocky. How you doing, Craig?
Hey, great, Mike.
Hey, we've had Craig on before talking about reputation management and brand management. He's from Reputation Experts. The experts is spelled with an X, no E. I'm also going to have the information on the one sheet as well about these reviews and a link to his website in case you have any questions about what was discussed today. And Craig, let's get into the ever daunting task of talking about online reviews. Now, for those out there, I'll tell you a quick story about branding. It used to take years for you to brand your company. You know, that's why they say, it takes you 3 years to make money. That's not true anymore. You can brand yourself rather quickly, and that's thanks to the digital age. But with that also comes a little bit of a negative. Before, if someone wanted to ruin your business, they would start a rumor. It would take years for it to get back around and actually do destruction. Now, it can happen. Not even overnight, but in a matter of minutes. We just discussed before starting recording here about Bill Cosby. I got to see Bill Cosby, an arrest warrant issued for him, and the video of him showing up for his arraignment today, all in the matter of an hour. So that is how quick things can spread. Social media, internet, everything. So let's talk a little bit about reviews and how they have changed over the years, Greg.
Sure. Well, I got first introduced to reviews because I like buying things on Amazon. And actually today I sell a lot of things on Amazon. And anyone who buys things on Amazon knows how important reviews are to assessing whether a product is good or not. And then coming over into the bricks and mortar universe, you see sites like Yelp and Google, and there's several others. If you're dealing with lawyers, there's one called Avo. If you're dealing with doctors or dentists, there's things like healthgrades.com. So there's all these review sites out there, and they typically rank on the first page of Google in many cases for your name. In fact, if you search most company names, you'll definitely see their Google reviews, and you're almost always going to see their Yelp reviews. And oftentimes there'll be one or two other review sites that are right there on the first page of Google, oftentimes in the top 5 results. So it's hugely important. And what most businesses don't realize is that they can have a lot more control and get true reviews, not fake reviews, but actually get real reviews from their customers and make sure that they get posted to the right place. And when they do that, not only do they create protection for the brand, but they create such a strong asset that it really helps increase sales as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up as well. Businesses have to know, do not stick your head in the sand. You could ignore the internet all you want, but your customers aren't. They are on there. They are talking about you on Twitter. They are talking about you on Facebook. They are talking about you on Yelp. So you need to make sure that you look and monitor those, because when people go online and Google your name, these review sites are going to be what pop up, especially if you're ignoring the internet. So you have to be conscious about that. Now, talking about customers and reviews they may leave. Now, good or bad reviews, do you respond to all of them? Do we need to respond to all of them?
I don't think it's a bad idea to respond to them all. I mean, if it's a negative review, especially on a site like Ripoff Report or something like that where you don't have any control and it cannot be deleted, I would advise against it. Or if there's something where there's a violation of a terms of service, for instance, with some customers and clients have been able to actually have 1-star Yelp reviews actually deleted from Yelp because you identify a term of service that's been violated, then report that to Yelp, and then all of a sudden the 1-star review disappears entirely. So in those types of situations, you probably want to avoid engaging. But if there's no terms of service that have been violated, and it cannot be deleted, then it's probably a good idea to acknowledge the one-star reviews, maybe private message the person first and try and keep the dialogue offline, because there's always a chance that that person can come around. You can actually make them happy and have them remove the one-star review themselves. And then when it comes to the positive things, people that leave you 5-star reviews, you really want to acknowledge that. You want to thank them for their input and show people that might read the review that you are someone that is engaged and cares about what people are saying about you online, and you service people to a high level, both offline and online.
Yeah, absolutely. And brand engagement, we talked about that in another podcast here recently. Very, very important to let your customers know that you're there, you're online, and you're interacting. People love the real-time interactions now. You know, emails used to not work so much years ago, but now emails are killing it with conversions because so many people are on their phones. They're looking, okay, I'll check my email. People responding on Twitter within minutes of posts. You know, you no longer wait days to get answers. I mean, people are going to Twitter for customer service. You know, if they have a question, they're going to ask you on Twitter before they try to look up your phone number. So, you know, it is very important to make sure that you're monitoring and you're engaging with these brands. Now, Yelp, of course, I've voiced my concerns about Yelp before, but I won't say them too loud just in case they're out to get me. But, you know, Yelp, I have seen people where there are negative reviews and then the person responds either publicly or not, you know, the company. And then I will see another review from the same person which says, hey, I was invited back and I really, the first review was fair, but so was the second one, and it's a raving review of how well the service or business was. So, it kind of proves that, you know, engaging customers sometimes is a great way. You know, don't just look at it and walk away. So,
right. Now
let's talk about fake reviews for a minute. Now, not for a minute, actually. I want to spend some time on fake reviews because that's where people have seemed to take it to the internet and do what's considered trolling. You know, they go to a site, maybe it's someone they don't like, a company they don't like, person, whatever, and will leave fake reviews. Competitors will do it. That's a big one here. Why do you think it's become so popular for people to leave fake reviews?
Well, I think that the problem is that these sites, Yelp is actually one of the better ones for being able to actually screen fake reviews. But most sites don't have a lot of filters or algorithms that are going to actually pick off fake reviews. And people can do it fairly anonymously, especially if they use some sort of IP address protecting service, proxy of some sort, like a web proxy, you know, and people can do it under an assumed name. There's just really not a lot of protection against fake reviews. And like you said, a competitor can do it. I've seen clients where a former spouse has posted something negative, a former employee that has been fired. And oftentimes, I had one client who was a real estate, he owned real estate, but he rented out. One of his tenants stopped paying him. He actually had to evict him. And then this person turns around and posts this really, really fake bad review about him. So oftentimes it's people that actually have done something wrong themselves who feel bad about it, and they're just trying to make the other person look like a jerk. That's really, really common. Yeah,
it seems to be very popular for people to, I don't want to say cover up, but make themselves feel better by making the other person look like they're in the wrong. So I do see a lot of reviews like that where you read it and you're like, okay, I know exactly what the background on this is, whether it's a review about a restaurant where they talk, oh, I had to wait an hour and a half. And okay, so, you know, your complaint isn't the food. Even though you spent, 3 paragraphs about the food, your complaint is about having to wait, just like everybody else did. So you can kind of read that, but not everybody does. So, these negative reviews can be disastrous for business, correct?
And Mike, I believe that there are even some dubious guys in my industry, the reputation management industry, that actually go out and file negative, false reports about businesses just to create a problem, and then actually follow up with them down the road trying to solve that problem. And it's disgusting, and it's hard to know factually when it's happening, but I do believe that there's that aspect of it as well.
Exactly, and that makes things even harder. We just recently had one with Wikipedia where there was a subject in the UK that was going around and telling people he'd get their article posted on Wikipedia. He would post their article, and then, or he or she, I should say, would contact the people and say, hey, your article's up. Now you owe me, however much money a year for monitoring it. And if you don't pay me, I'm going to delete your article. So it's almost like, they cause an issue and then they want you to pay to get out of it. So yeah, there are some people out there like that.
I will share one thing about Yelp, for instance. They have a term of service. One of the terms of service says that if it's not an actual consumer experience, that it's grounds for being deleted. So, for instance, say a former spouse or a former employee or someone other than an actual consumer leaves you a 1-star negative review on Yelp, you definitely have grounds to have that deleted, and it's quite easy to apply for that and have success in having something like that deleted. And there are other sites that you can have negative reviews that are false deleted.
No, that's great, and I think knowing the terms of use on these sites is very, very important if you're trying to attack some of these fake reviews and get them out. And user experience is important. I mean, how can somebody leave a review for you if they haven't even tried your service or purchased something from you? And, like I say, I use these sites just like everybody else does, and if you read a review, people are going to assume it's true, regardless. They're going to assume it's true. So, I've talked about this many, many times before. You have to monitor. You have to monitor this stuff. So Let's go through my favorite, which is Ripoff Report. I had a Tro leave a nice Ripoff Report from a while ago, which was great. It actually was a former client who was subcontracting work to me, and then he got fired by his main client, and for failure to communicate and everything else. And then he got mad, so he left a nice ripoff report for the client and a nice ripoff report for me. Jeez. However, now I got lucky because mine is pretty much, aliens came out of space and Mike Wood was in the spaceship, and, it's pretty obviously glaring false review, and I'm in the process of getting that done now. So let's go through the process of getting something removed. Now when I say removed, I don't mean removed from the website. Now, we've talked about, if there's a term of service violation, we can do that. Let's go into something like Ripoff Report. Now, Ripoff Report is not required to remove any review from its site. In fact, I could leave a false review right now for Craig and then go back to Ripoff Report a day later and say, hey, I lied about it. Ripoff Report has a policy that they're still not going to remove it. It's just their policy, even though I'm saying it's false and it needs to be removed. And the law does not require them to do it. They are protected by the law because they're not the ones who made the review. They're just the ones basically hosting it. So what is the overall process of getting something like that removed from Google, I would say?
Okay, well, there's different ways of going about it. Defamation is one angle that's obviously expensive, usually involves hiring a legal team. I do have colleagues that I've referred work to, and I can help anybody listening to this, put them in touch with a lawyer or specialist that can help them actually go through the legal process of having it de-indexed from Google, because Google will respond to a court order that requires them to delete something. And that's one way to go about it. Copyright infringement is another. If someone's used one of your images that you own copyright to, or some sort of creation of yours that's included in the report, that's a possible angle. And then I guess it would come down to suppression, meaning pushing the negative down by putting good information up and pushing the good information up higher so that the whole first page at least looks positive, and the ripoff report is demoted, if you will, to page 2 or beyond of Google, where people just aren't going to see it.
Absolutely. And I can tell you the legal process is long. It does work, but again, you're talking about filing a lawsuit, winning a judgment, and then taking that judgment to Google and saying, hey, I need to get this removed. It's not like the right to be forgotten in European Union right now. They're actually protected by law here. Ripoff Report doesn't have an obligation, nor are they required by law to remove anything, so they can leave it up there as long as they want. Now Yelp does do a fairly good job, and I know I bash Yelp. I'll continue to bash Yelp, but I will tell them, out of all the review sites, if I had to put them all together and pull out one as, I would say, the best filter of negative reviews, I would put Yelp up there. So I will take my hat off for them. Of course, I'll put it right back on now, but they do a good job of keeping that off, and one of the things is the customer experience. I know recently there's been several lawsuits, not against Yelp, but against people who have, and a lot of it is competitors who go to Yelp and they get past that process, however they do, and they're able to leave negative reviews, where people have actually used a legal process to obtain the actual names of the people leaving the reviews from Yelp. So it's also very important, if you plan to leave a negative review for your competitor, hold on to your hat, because if a competitor gets these negative reviews and they know they're false and know they're fake, it's not too difficult for them to file a lawsuit and get that information from Yelp. I know Yelp tried to keep from having to release that information, but the courts determined, nope, you have to. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's good that there is recourse, and it's good that people can determine who are leaving these false reports, because I think it really degrades the internet. I also think it's very, very damaging to businesses, and most of the businesses I've worked with and helped, I find that usually they are ethical businesses, and maybe they made a mistake, maybe they didn't. Oftentimes these are malicious reports from people that actually are the ones that have created some sort of wrong, and they're trying to justify it, or they just are trying to take out their grievance on the internet, which usually is not fair to the person being attacked. Sometimes it is fair, but I think it's excellent that it is able to be determined and that it can be removed or at least suppressed, because if there wasn't some sort of recourse, I mean, businesses that work hard for decades sometimes to build up their reputation can oftentimes be really, really affected by one of these rip-off reports or something, like a pissed consumer. These things are really, really toxic. And because of their contentious nature, people are drawn to them. They're kind of like tabloid magazines at the grocery store.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You're just there doing your business. You picked up your laundry detergent or whatever it is that you're trying to buy. You're just checking out. But I'm not someone who even really watches TV a lot, but I have a hard time not glancing at those magazine covers. I don't pick them up and read them necessarily, but they just draw attention, and people are drawn to them. It's like, seeing an accident on the side of the road. People are just like, oh, what's that? And when it comes to a rip-off report, people click on them and they read them.
And it's the name. It's the rip-off report. When they see the name, they Google you and the rip-off report comes up. They're like, oh, what did they do? I mean, that's the first thing that pops in your mind. What did that person do?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily mean they did anything. It just means that they're on there. But 99% of consumers don't look at it that way. They're, okay, here's the accident, here's the tabloids. They look at it, and no matter how true or untrue it is, you still have the people going there and reading this information. And you really don't want to have that happen.
Exactly, for sure.
Yeah. Now, as with all guests, Craig, you've been through this before. You get the final word. You get a minute to say anything you want to the audience, anything that may help them, any advice, anything you want. As long as you don't curse, I won't cut you off. And go ahead when you're ready.
Sure. Well, I just want to communicate to people's common sense. Say you're going to Amazon.com, you're searching for a product. Obviously, the one that's got the most reviews and the most 5-star reviews or the best overall rating is one that's going to instantly indicate or, something that you're going to be drawn towards and feel more confident about than something that's got 3 stars and, maybe only 5 reviews. Same thing when it comes to Google, like the Yellow Pages, that book that existed 20 years ago when I first started in internet marketing, still exists today, but people don't use it. But if you do something like a search like your city plus the name plumbing or, heating company or whatever, you'll see that right near the top, there are three companies that Google identifies, and they give the star ratings right there. So I'm just looking at Dallas Plumber right now, just an example. The top one is ranked number 1, but he's got a 3.6 star rating with 20 reviews. And I come down here, I've got 4.0, 17 reviews. Then there's 3.3 out of 42 reviews. So instantly, the one that's 4-star, that one looks better, it sounds better. That's typically going to be the one that gets the click. So that's where you want your business to be. You want to be at least 4 stars, preferably 4.5 stars or better. And you want to have a lot of reviews. And that's something that my company can help people with, getting legitimate reviews. We offer a free report on our site, reputationexperts.com/free report. And someone can go there and find out exactly what's being said about them, what the reviews look like right now. And then we have a measurable place to start and improve things from.
Absolutely. And thanks again for being on here, Craig. I just want to reiterate to people, do not put your head in the sand. You need to be aware of what is going out there. Again, go to reputationexperts.com and /free report. I'll also put it on the one sheet. You can click on legalmorning.com and click on the podcast tab and get more information as well. But, I recommend starting somewhere. If you're ignoring it, it's not going to go away. Everybody is out there talking about it, and you need to take control of it. You need to take control of it before it gets out of control, because if you're not there monitoring or dealing with these reviews, positive and negative, you're losing out on a lot of business, because, yes, positive reviews can translate into a lot more business for your company as well. So, Craig, thanks again for being on here.
All right, Mike.
And until next time, this is Mike Wood from Legalmorning.com.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Impact Podcast. For a copy of the information from this podcast, please go to legalmorning.com and click the podcast tab. Until next time.